What's up, guys? Leyton here for UFC Gambling Addicts. Just your friendly reminder with the giveaway. Once again, we're offering a giveaway. Some people were close for the London card, but the majority of the picks ended in till. Once again, you know, with this channel, I don't just want to do breakdowns and predictions. I actually want to help people cash in each week. So take a look at all my bets. Here's a few parlays that were going to come in. Most of them, well, all of them ending in Darren Till. As you can see on your screen, once again, I'm teaching betting 101. If you end all of your accumulators with the main event, you're able to cover, man. You know, you've just seen on your screen the amount of parlays that I lost due to Till losing. But, you know, once again, £80 on Masvidal returned £410. You know, so when you just hedge a little bit of profit in the main event when you can, you're always able to profit on these events, even though you're wrong after the event. You know, so once again, I want to show people that we can be wrong and still cash in. Enjoy the breakdown. Thanks for the support, everyone, and peace.
And welcome to episode 24 of UFC Addicts. My name is Aaron, and I'm here as always with my co-host Leyton, and we are here to break down UFC 148 from Nashville, Tennessee. Wonder Boy versus Anthony Pettis at 170? Sure, why not? As always, I'm here with my co-host Leyton. What up, buddy?
What's up? Okay, so post-event notes. I don't want to spend too long speaking about them because I could literally speak about each fight for like 20, 30 minutes.
You did go to the event for,
exactly.
We'll give you a few extra minutes here, but I'll let you go ahead and run it down, and I'll just tap in as I go here. So go ahead.
So Grundy and Nad, respect to both guys. Both guys looked fairly decent in there. You know, Grundy looked decent on the feet. Nad clipped him a few times. You know, it was really back and forth, close fight until Grundy clipped him and got the finish. Molly McCann, wow, what a war that was. That Priscilla, that girl cannot be put away. Taking all kinds of shots, just walking forward. Another really, really respectful, great war between two women. Dan Ige, just, you know, proving there's levels to the game. A quick, beautiful performance over Danny Henry. And I know you're not going to be too happy with what I'm about to say next, but Makdessi, that makes me the happiest on the whole card. That win right there, man, I stuck with him through his problems through grappling, and, you know, you can only assume that the problem is going to go away. We don't know if it's fully gone away, but what we can say is, you know, the takedown defense was there. He looked for his own takedown. The kicks were beautiful for 15 minutes. I'm just so happy he got that win, man. He was in three losses in a row, and it was just such a nice performance. And the judging was a little bit weird throughout the night, but they got that perfect. 30-27. Yeah. Makdessi, man. What have you got to say about that?
Yeah, well, lesson learned. I put quite a bit of confidence into Joe Duffy. I did not at all think that. I didn't at all see Diakese coming out with a full game plan. I'd like to just focus on my Grundy pick more. So I just would pretend not. Yeah, I just won't think about the Duffy pick. But in all seriousness, he showed a lot in that fight. So Diakese, it's not just if he's facing a competent grappler, pick the grappler. So you got to bring a little bit more. And I'm equally as impressed as I am with Diakese. I'm equally disappointed with Duffy. I really thought the time he took off was really going to help him come back a little more restored. And I'm just not sure how much he really developed in the time off. So either way, fair play there.
Yep. Nathaniel Wood, what can we say about that kid, man? That kid looks a real prospect.
He is the prospect at 135.
The pressure, the takedowns, you know, not much to offer with his hands. It was kind of his bread and butter was like kind of like a lead jab on the feet, but you know that kid takes it fight by fight, and he's looking real good. Volkan Ozdemir, let's be completely honest, he kept the majority of our parlays alive that decision. But let's be completely honest, Volkan Ozdemir won that fight. 100%. I'm watching it. I'm octagon side. I can see what's happening right in front of me. How the judges gave that to Reyes, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good for me because of my parlays, but I'm not biased.
I mean, it wasn't a blowout, but I think the forward pressure and head movement by Ozdemir and the striking was pretty close. And just the fact that anytime you can make another fighter just look like he doesn't know what he wants to do next. Reyes just really did look lost in there. And so I even saw a few people. I even saw a few people in one of our betting groups talking about how they watched and saw they rewatched and saw Reyes won clearly. So whatever. Some people this is why it's hard to get the judging correct. It's hard to talk and get people to agree on a fight. That was one that I saw. I think more judges eliminates the possibility. I think 7 or more judges actually is what should be there. Because then if you have 7 judges and 5 of them agree on one to sit one side, most likely it's right.
Yeah,
and with
and that
3 judges, you can have 2 idiots.
Yeah,
and we had a split decision in Leon Edwards and Gunnar Nelson. Like what?
Yeah,
Are
that
you
was
kidding
bizarre.
Me?
When you bring in more judges, like you were just saying, eventually you're gonna like wean out the bad judges. Like if the same guy, the same people are getting these decisions wrong, and the majority are getting them right, you're gonna wean those kind of guys out. So there's only positives for bringing in more judges, and I completely agree with you. How was Leon Edwards? How was that a split decision? I
have no idea. That was a perfect MMA performance by Leon.
Masterclass.
It was perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, perfect.
Main event. Talk to me.
Well, you could probably talk more about it. I mean, but it appears that Darren Till is at a crossroads in his career all of a sudden, very quickly. Knocks down Masvidal with its first left hand of the fight. Goes in to stack him. I think in a way maybe psychologically gassed himself out a little bit there. He seemed to really push for the finish quickly, which surprised me rather than taking his time. And then started getting hit with some counters, and Masvidal just ran in and hit him with that 3-piece and soda, as you put it. And just, that was a brutal knockout. It's a knockout that is going to require Till to take off a long time, and it's the type of knockout that changes a chin, changes a career potentially. Because he got knocked out about twice before he hit the ground, and the back of his head hit the canvas.
You were there live for sure.
You were there, you were there live, so I'm sure you saw the aftermath of the better than I could on TV.
He was out cold, sleeping for a good 2 minutes.
And he woke up crying, which is like, I mean,
see the thing for me in that fight,
go ahead,
was he dropped Masvidal real quick, right? And we all know, we all saw as well how big Till was compared to Masvidal. I'm surprised that he couldn't hold him down. I'm really shocked with that. Yeah, like Masvidal just got up.
Grundy was in his corner too. So
for real, Grundy, like from what I saw from Grundy, like I was like, Grundy would have held him down there. Like Till's a big, strong guy. Maybe he needs to, go back to the drawing board and work on some wrestling on the mat. I don't know. And also, the kicks weren't there. There was no kicks. I know a couple got caught, but there really
he fell in love with that left hand after connecting on it early.
Yeah.
He may be a fighter who, once he moves up to 185 and he's not knowing he's the bigger, stronger guy, and has to rely more on technique, more on a game plan, it may benefit him.
Yeah. He's got to move up after that. In my opinion, he has to. Like,
I just don't think he's a 170er.
No,
and I think that even if he makes the weight, we don't know how much he's depleting himself for one. He had to, as we saw in the telecast, he had to strip down to make the weight. And then, the last part that recovers is the chin and the brain when you're cutting all that weight. So he's going in there and he takes an absolute shot and gets deaded.
Mm-hmm.
And he just thinks, I'm the bigger, stronger guy. I don't have to worry. So he may be much better off at 185, but where he's facing a guy like David Branch or something, he's not going to be able to be bigger and stronger than David Branch.
Yeah.
He's going to have to use his technique. He's got to stop. He's either got to go to Glory Kickboxing or learn that MMA requires mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
So
fair play.
Either way, I mean, seems like one of the stars of the event, props to you, was the crowd. So you guys know how to be a crowd for an MMA event, unlike a lot of crowds here in America. So
yeah, it was
fair play
so
there.
lit.
It was a great card. I ended up not having a profit for the first time in quite a few cards here. So with the Duffy and Till losses, Grundy helped me out a little bit early, but other than that, great event. And this event tonight, or this event we're breaking down today, is interesting. So
let's do it. Let's jump in.
Jump in with the first fight. It's at 125 between Eric Shelton and Jordan Espinosa. I will be breaking down Jordan Espinosa, the 28-year-old two-time Dana White Contender Series winner. So he's going to be rooted for twice as much by me. 13-5 overall, 2 TKOs, 7 submissions in his career. This is his UFC debut here. I think he was supposed to debut a little while ago, and there was an injury, I believe, right before the fight. But overall, from what I've been able to see with Espinosa, he appears to be kind of pretty well-rounded and mirrors a lot of his opponent Shelton in some ways. Another well-rounded MMA guy.
Yeah,
a lot of movement here. I think Shelton is going to be a little bit quicker, but I think Espinosa will be the stronger and slightly bigger guy. But it's a close matchup. It's going to be close on the feet, close on the ground, and I'd see it being probably a split or close decision. And I'll go with the known commodity and Shelton here. He's opened so many UFC cards at this point. He really just, even though he can put together a few wins, can't seem to move up in the division. Just he kind of outpoints you a little bit, uses some movement, uses some wrestling, uses some strikes. So I'll go with Shelton, but in no means will I be shocked by Espinosa, but I'll take Shelton just with the experience and Espinosa having his debut.
Nice. I pretty much agree with everything you've just said there to open up this breakdown. Shelton comes into this fight 2-3 inside the UFC, previously fighting on the Ultimate Fighter. His losses have come to top competition. Hasn't really got any standout wins, like you said. He's not really progressing through the division. But what we do know is, like you said, he's very well-rounded. He is a strong wrestler. He is quick. He can do pretty much every aspect of MMA fairly decently. Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. On paper, it's close. It's most likely going to be close inside the octagon too. But I agree with you. I think Eric Shelton is well-rounded, and I think he gets it done. Exactly the way you picked, via decision too. And most likely a close one.
Yeah, I think it'll be close. I think Espinosa does have slightly better finishing ability than Shelton, so that's one place where I could see people arguing where Espinosa has a chance maybe. But if it comes down to a decision, I think Shelton knows exactly what he needs to do here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll go with Shelton. So we agree, and you want to move us on to the next fight here?
Yep, let's just get the odds for that one real quick. What are the odds?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, minus 200 for Shelton, plus 160 for Espinosa. I'd prefer it to be closer to like minus 150, plus 110, frankly.
Yeah, maybe because
it's too close. It's too close. That's not one that I'm going to be including.
That's not going to
much.
go in too many parlays. But yeah, we'll agree there.
It's too close of a fight. But yeah, if it was around minus 150, I think that's more appropriate. But
fair play.
Plus 200, a little too high, but still understandable with the experience and everything.
Okay, so second fight. We have Ryan MacDonald versus Chris Gutierrez. and I'll be breaking down Gutierrez. Okay, so he comes into this fight 12-3 as a pro, 0-1 inside the octagon. He got choked out by Raoni Barcelos, and before he got choked out, he was holding his own. He looked pretty good in there. You know, he didn't look bad. You know, he was point fighting. He looked fairly matched, if that's a fair way of putting it. You know, there's always one fight on each card where you're quite back and forth. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the fight. It's early for me on the card. This is the one I'm having trouble making a pick. Ryan MacDonald 10-0, undefeated. The kid has some decent jiu-jitsu and a nice variety of kicks. But I just don't think, you know, his competition that he's fought hasn't been great. And I've seen in quite a few of his fights, he's getting tagged by these guys. So, you know, it's a hard one. It's a really hard one. I think Chris Gutierrez looked pretty okay in his debut against Raoni. And Chris has a really nice calf kick as well. So, you know, if Ryan's putting out his own leg kicks out there, you know, I really think Chris is going to respond with his own leg kick. It's a tough one to pick. I have been back and forth. Like yesterday I was on Ryan MacDonald. Today I'm on Chris Gutierrez. And then it changed again. I've just been swapping back and forth. You know, and that's an indicator to me that, you know, whoever you pick here, don't put them in many parlays. So it's only going to go in one parlay. But I'm going to make a pick and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to take Chris Gutierrez to get a TKO in the second. I just think he in his debut, like I said, he looked decent. And Ryan MacDonald hasn't fought the competition Chris has fought. Could be wrong. You know, I'm very back and forth on this fight, but I'm going to stick with Chris Gutierrez to get a TKO in round number 2.
Okay. I will be breaking down Ryan, the main event, MacDonald. He is 26 as of today. It's his birthday, March 18th. That's when we're recording this. 10-0 overall, 3 KOs, 3 subs. It is his UFC debut, and he has a good amount of tape online, so that was good. I was able to watch quite a few of his fights. He's aggressive, but he's not going for the finish immediately. And he's had some back and forth fights with some not so impressive competition. He had a back and forth fight where he got rocked about 3 times in the first round by a guy who was 7-9, who he was able to make quit in the second round. But still, this is by far going to be one of his probably his toughest tests to date. So I think it's a big step up. Gutierrez coming off fighting a pretty decent guy in Raoni Barcelos.
That's it.
Yeah, I think he's 2 or 3 UFC wins at this point for that guy. I think he has a knockout and a submission, so no shame there. And I just think that MacDonald's going to be the taller guy, and that's going to leave him open to a lot of leg kicks getting rushed for wrestling and takedowns by Gutierrez. I'm not sure if Gutierrez finishes him. This one is also one I've been a little back and forth on, but the more I really pay attention to the type of competition MacDonald is facing, and I think, you know, not that I'm looking into somebody's nickname as a reason not to pick him, but calling himself the main event, I think it does, in all seriousness, I think it reveals a little bit about his psychology. Kind of like calling yourself the golden boy.
What did Hector Lombard call himself? Show
weather or something? Yeah, and that did a lot of good for him also. But the main event, I think that one of the fights that Ryan MacDonald was a main event in with MCF, which is some organization like the Midwest, because he's from Nebraska, he was fighting in the main event against the guy who was 7-9. And he was called the main event then. So I think in the regional circuit, he was rather protected and propped to get to this point. And Gutierrez coming off a loss, he's not going to be coming into the octagon. UFC jitters for Ryan MacDonald. Also, MacDonald, I think, leaves himself open to get cracked quite a bit, and with leg kicks, and I believe Gutierrez has a stoppage by leg kicks even. So he's got some legit leg kicks. So I'm going to take a decision win for Gutierrez.
Nice.
So we do agree. But
nice.
yeah, we'll see. Ryan MacDonald, he hasn't fought since, I believe, August. So he's had a little bit of time to get ready for this. But he fights out of a pretty small camp in disorderly conduct, which I've never heard of. And so we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'll go with Gutierrez by decision. And we look at the odds here. And Gutierrez opened as the underdog at plus 125, but he's now at a minus 175.
Wow.
MacDonald plus 145.
Wow.
So I think a lot of people are paying attention to the level of competition MacDonald's faced, and the fact that a couple of the fights have been quite close with that lower competition. So I can I can understand the odds where they're at.
Yeah, maybe a little closer come fight night, but
yeah, but again, it seems like so far in the first two fights, I felt like they're about 25 off on both. So
yeah,
maybe a trend here. We'll see. But we're early on in fight week too, so the odds will change quite a bit. For example, not to go back to Grundy too much here, but when I had Grundy, I got him at plus 210, and he closed at plus 110.
Yeah, that's crazy. Fair play.
If you do, so it's just the moral of the story is if you do have a feeling on a dog, you gotta
take it
jump on it when you feel like it's on the right price, because if you don't, you can really beat yourself up for it.
Yeah, so the only downside to that is if you get a Tom Breeze case, you may be angry that you've got to redo some parlays, but you're right. You know, if you get a nice dog, take it early. Okay, moving on into the third one. Randa Markos versus Angela Hill. And I'll be breaking down Angela Hill. Okay, so she comes into this fight 3-6 inside the UFC. And that's including her Ultimate Fighter fights back in 2015 and in 2017. To make this breakdown pretty simple, just listen to the girls Angela Hill has lost against. Carla Esparza, Tisha Torres, Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Nina Anzarov, and Courtney Casey. So all losses, legit. The downside is she hasn't got any notable wins. So, you know, right now she's just a girl who's, you know, a few steps off of all of those names. You know, she's losing to the higher competition. I wouldn't exactly put Randa Markos up there with those girls, but at the same time, you kind of have to, because she has literally fought all of those girls, like most of those girls. She has impressive wins. You know, if Angela Hill keeps this standing, keeps this a kickboxing battle, I see her getting her first notable win. How long can she do that for, though? That's the question here. For as long as she can do that, in my eyes, she's going to be winning the fight. I don't see Randa outscoring Angela on the feet. We know what Randa wants to do. She wants to get a hold of you. She's looking to make it scrappy. She'll shoot for takedowns. She'll keep walking forward. I don't see her giving Angela Hill too much space. But that's where Angela Hill needs to show us, like, she is a high-level girl. She needs to create space for herself. You know, so I'm looking for Angela Hill to circle, use nice movement, good head movement, stuff a few takedowns, and just, you know, win a kickboxing battle. Can she do that? I think she can. Having said that, she could be 2.5 rounds up, and this is where the kickboxing battle ends, because now Randa Markos has a hold of Angela Hill, and can she survive on the mat? You know, so she could be winning for 13 minutes, and as soon as Randa gets a takedown, it could be over. And I really do like Randa Markos, so this is a tough pick, but I'm going to take Angela Hill to get her first notable win inside the octagon, and I'll take it via decision.
All right. I will be breaking down Randa Markos. She is 8-6 overall, 6-1 overall, 4-5-1 in the UFC. Every single one of her fights has gone to decision so far in her UFC career.
Yeah.
wins or losses. She's alternated wins or losses prior to a draw against Marina Rodriguez, who was debuting and predominantly a kickboxer in her last fight. And she, in all fairness, I think she did win that fight, but it was close and wasn't an overly impressive performance. Of all of Miranda's wins, her only one that's really truly notable to me was that she beat Carlos Esparza by split. And other than that, nothing of too much note. So I think I agree with pretty much everything you had to say about Hill. I think Hill can keep this standing, definitely wins the fight. And if she keeps it standing and is waiting for 2.5 rounds, I think she can survive half a round by Markos. Markos has not shown she's a finisher once. So I agree to keep it short here. I'm going to go with Angela Hill as well. I think she stays on her bike, stays moving, pumps her jab, lands some good combos at points. But I think she cruises to a decision here. Miranda's faced similar opponents like Nina Ansarov and Courtney Casey, and that's how Hill needs to fight this fight. And that's how I see her winning, and that's how I see her fighting. So I will agree with you for the third fight here in a row, and we're going Angela Hill here, and she is the favorite at minus 160. So Miranda coming back plus 130. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would have to say about that is Angela Hill doesn't have any notable wins, but when you look at the fight itself, you know, if she can't win this one, who does she get a notable win over? So, yeah, I'm going to put some confidence in Angela Hill. We'll take it by decision.
All right, fair enough. And we're moving on here to the next fight, and that is between Alexis Davis and Jennifer Maia.
Yep.
I will be breaking down Alexis Davis out of Combat Sports Academy. She is 19-8 overall with 2 TKOs, 8 submissions. She's 6-3 in the UFC, coming off a loss to Caitlin Chikanian by decision back in July, where she was coming off like a year absence. I believe she was pregnant during that time, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I didn't double check and Google Alexis Davis before this podcast, so I apologize to anybody that bothers. She has pretty decent stand-up, though. She's looking to get the fight to the clinch into the ground, though. That's where she has more of her strengths. She's got a Japanese jiu-jitsu background and a Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, so she's definitely a competent fighter everywhere, though, and she fights pretty much everyone close. I think this is another close one. I don't know a ton about her opponent, so I'll listen to you talk about her a little bit, but I'll take Davis by unanimous decision.
Fair play. Okay, so Jennifer Maia comes into this fight 15-5 as a pro, 0-1 inside the UFC. Okay, so going off of her debut, which was against Liz Carmouche, she looked pretty flat-footed. She looked slow. She was pretty much outclassed by Liz Carmouche everywhere. Grappling, striking, movement, you name it. She was outclassed massively by Liz Carmouche. And I actually believe she went into that fight like a slight favourite. And more embarrassing, I think I even took her against Liz Carmouche. So yeah, you know, based off of her debut, how can you really take her against Alexis Davis? Alexis Davis has a win over a young Amanda Nunes. You know, she's fought good competition. She's a scrapper. She's basically, you know, everything you said is what she is. You know, she's looking to grapple you. She's looking to get the pace on you. You know, you can tag her up and she's still there. You know, she's a legit scrapper. Stylistically, would this be a better fight? Considering how Liz Carmouche absolutely outclassed Jennifer Maia. Alexis Davis isn't going to exactly look like Liz Carmouche. So this one could be closer, you know, on paper and in the octagon. It's a tough one, though. It's a tough one. I'm definitely not going to put Alexis Davis in too many parlays, maybe one, two the very max. But I just can't take Jennifer Maia based on, I looked at a few of her fights outside of the UFC too, and I'm not sure how I chose her against Liz Carmouche, but yeah, I can't take her here. If she can prove something to me, then fair enough. And even if she loses and proves something to me, that's fair enough. Like Volkan Ozdemir apparently lost on the weekend, but he proved a lot to me in that fight. So yeah, I'm going to take Alexis Davis via decision. Could be wrong, but I'm looking for Jennifer Maia to prove something to me in this fight. But yeah, Alexis Davis by decision.
All right, 4 for 4 here. Alexis Davis is the favorite, -175. Jennifer Maia plus 145. I'm okay with those odds.
Yeah,
open at -230. So
yeah, I mean, looking Alexis. At her debut, what does she do in this fight? I don't know what she does. Be interesting to see. Okay, so moving on.
Yep, go ahead.
To Marlon Chito Vera versus Frankie Saenz. And I'll let you take it away with your boy.
All right, my boy, who I have a feeling maybe on a collision course with Nathaniel Wood here coming up here down the line, but maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But Marlon Chito Vera is 11-5, 3 TKOs and 6 submissions, only 25 years old. 6-4 in the UFC with wins over Kelleher and Brad Pickett being the most notable so far. As I said, I really do like this kid. I think he's very well-rounded. I don't think he's an easy fight for anyone in the division. And one negative or critique I could hear about him is that sometimes he lets certain fighters be in fights with him that shouldn't be. And I can respect that, but he also does not fade in adversity. That's what I would say. But while he's been getting more submissions in his career, I think his stand-up has been looking sharper and sharper. He does really good work to the body and the legs. And I think where he can struggle at times is with his wrestling and positional control in fights, which has ended up with him being on the short end some few decisions early in his career. But I think he's able to show he's patched up some of those holes with fights against grapplers like Guido Canetti, where he was able to actually pull off the submission against him in the second round after some say some say Guido won the first round. So I think he could have easily fell into a trap with Guido Canetti too, and he didn't. So I just look for him in this fight with Frankie Saenz to really just keep his stand-up active, stay moving. And I think that if Saenz is able to get a hold of him, I think he can grapple with him. But I'd like to see him using his grappling and length more as a key in this fight. One thing about Vera's never been finished in those 5 losses. Like I said, he is sometimes a slow starter, though. So wouldn't surprise me at all to see Frankie get up early in the fight and maybe take the first round. But don't look for Vera to back down. And I honestly don't see Frankie winning the first round. I think that this is going to be a really full performance out of Vera. And hopefully he stays healthy, no sickness this time, since this was rescheduled from a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to take it, Vera to get a second round TKO. And look for him to have a quicker start than usual here. And this will, if I'm correct on the second round, be his 3rd straight second round finish. So hopefully he gets it here, and I favor him to do so.
Nice. Okay, so Frankie Saenz. Just like you said, this was supposed to take place like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So I don't want to spend too much time breaking this one down because we did do it on another episode, but pretty much agree with everything you've said there. It's not often we agree 5 times in a row.
No.
But yeah, Frankie Saenz 5-3 inside the UFC. Yeah, he's going to have to look to press the action, not give Marlon too much space, look to grapple a lot, make it dirty box up against the fence. Yeah, look for his own takedowns. But yeah, I'm with you on Marlon Vera, man. The kid, even when he's losing a fight, the kid can win. and that's a beautiful, beautiful trait to have. Sometimes we look at that trait in one light where, for example, Arnold Allen was 13 minutes down to Mads Bernal, and we don't give him much credit going into his next fight. And sometimes we look at it and go, that kid can take shot after shot and still win. So, you know, it's a beautiful trait to have. You obviously don't want to perform like that every fight. And I agree with you. He looks to improve and has improved in pretty much every one of his fights. And if you do beat him via decision, the chances are Marlon Vera, like I said this before, chances are Marlon Vera is head to toe in blood and still looking to stand with you. Yeah, I was in London in 2017 when he head kicked Brad Pickett, and a little bit of an early stoppage, but like you say, they could be on to Marlon Vera and Nathaniel Wood having a fight, and I'm sure Nathaniel would love to avenge that loss of his coach, Brad Pickett.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a fight. I would love to see that fight. Yeah, that would kill me too, because those are my two of my favorites in any division, let alone 135. But man, that'd be a great fight.
But yeah, completely agree with you. I'm going to take a round 2 TKO for Marlon Vera. So that's 5 in a row on agreeing on this card. It's gonna stop soon. I can feel it. But that's 5 in a row.
We'll see. We've had a full fight card before we agreed on. So
to be fair, we'll probably do another full fight card. We've only had one, and this is the 24th breakdown we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. 24th, over a day of podcasts we've done so far. So
we're gonna
God bless you if you've been with us from the beginning. Comment below.
Yeah.
So, anyways, on to the next fight. Is this the Bobby Wolfman?
Yep. The odds on the other one, real quick.
Oh shit! I keep forgetting the odds. My bad. See, after having such a good intro, I have to find a different place to screw up today, because that was definitely my best intro. Just saying. I'll pat myself on the back. It doesn't hurt. Don't worry. Frankie Saenz is plus 135. So Vera minus 165. I'm a little confused there on the odds being so close. He did pull out with an illness, not an injury. So,
well, a lot of people obviously assuming that Frankie Saenz is going to be able to continue to press the action, and
it opened at minus 245 for Vera. So,
well, if you're taking Frankie Saenz and you're banking on that performance, fair play, and that really could happen. But
sure,
Marlon Vera's great, man.
I'm feeling I will be betting on Vera there. But anyways, we'll go on to the next fight now between Bobby the Wolfman Moffett. This is not the Hitman Moret. This is Bobby Moffett we're talking about tonight versus Bryce Mitchell. So I will be breaking down the Wolfman Moffett. He's fighting on MMA Lab, so good camp there. 14-3 overall with 8 submissions and a TKO. He's a Dana White Contender Series winner by Barber choke, or I believe that's how you say it. Darce choke.
It was a variety of the Darce,
Yeah, variety of the Darce. And then that's how he won his debut against Chaz Skelly, which absolutely impressed me. So this is what we could be looking at here is a specialist, kind of a choke specialist here, because Skelly's pulled off that move of quite a few times as well. And he pulled it off in the second round after a pretty impressive first round, too. And against a guy who's not easy to put away in Skelly. So I was pretty impressed with Moffett. Mitchell won on the Ultimate Fighter, I believe, by majority decision over Tyler Diamond, or he won at the Ultimate Fighter finale. And he looked okay. He looked a little bit unpolished, but definitely a game opponent. And this could be a scrap, but I'm going to take Bobby Moffett to extend that streak to 15-3, and I'll take him to get a submission. I'm not sure if it will be the Barber choke again, but I'll take him to get a submission, and I'll take it to come in. I think he'll look to get in there and get out. I'll take it in the first round.
Nice. Okay, nice. Bryce Mitchell. Before I get into the breakdown of him, this channel offers a bit of banter here and there, and you're usually the guy who comes out of it. But I'm going to give you 2 fun facts today about Bryce Mitchell. Number one, when he was born, the nurse put him on the table and he fell straight onto the floor, flat on his face. The doctors thought he was dead. And number two is, I don't know if anyone remembers, about half a year ago, a guy split his nutsack in half. That was Bryce Mitchell. So, two fun facts
Rough
of Bryce
life.
Mitchell.
Those are not fun at all. Those are not fun at all.
Okay, so Bryce Mitchell, 10-1, making his octagon debut. 8 or 9 submissions in his pro wins. Pretty one-dimensional. He looks to shoot on you. You know, it's kind of like a half shot kind of thing. He did get choked out by Brad Katona, which was a beautiful performance from Brad. And, you know, he's kind of small for 145. That's why he's competing at 135. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell, man, he's a little one-dimensional. You know, if he gets Bobby Moffett down, he could sub him. But having said that, you know, we've seen Bobby Moffett as well. Bobby can sub Bryce too. I've been a little bit back and forth on this one. Not so much as the Gutierrez one. But I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna take Bobby Moffett. He's not gonna be in too many parlays, but I just think Bryce Mitchell's a little bit too one-dimensional, and I don't think a guy like Bobby Moffett is gonna be beat through that. But like I say, you know, if this one hits the mat, and the chances are it does, we've seen crazier things happen. We've seen Magomed Ankalaev dominate for 14 minutes and 50 seconds and then get choked out in a triangle against Paul Craig. We've seen crazy submissions, man. So yeah, Bryce Mitchell, he does have the ability and the skills to submit Bobby Moffett, but yeah, I'm going to stick with Bobby. Nice debut. And I just think Bryce Mitchell's a little too one-dimensional. So, yeah, Bobby Moffett via decision.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just giving him a lot of credit for being able to submit a grappler like Chaz Skelly in his UFC debut. And I liked how he looked on the Contender Series also. Once he gets a hold of your neck, it could be done. And he's shown he's able to submit competent grapplers before, and I look at Bryce Mitchell as a competent grappler and pretty game opponent, but yeah, I think he may be in over his head being in the UFC at this point.
I will say one thing. I hope to God you have a good card, because we're agreeing everywhere right now. So I want, you know, please.
Well, I also hope that you have a good card.
Yeah.
And
well,
regardless of if we
pretty good recently.
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel pretty confident with this one though, and the odds do as well. With the odds being at -185 for Moffett, +150 for Mitchell. I think they could be more heavy by fight night. Yeah. I actually do feel comfortable putting this in a few parlays, but that's me.
Fair play.
So we don't agree on betting a lot, so that's fair enough. But so we do it sometimes, but you know, on to the next fight here between JJ Aldrich and Macy Barber. I will be breaking down JJ Aldrich, fighting at a 303 fight team. Believe with Rose Namajunas and Pat Barry and others. She's 7-2 overall with 2 TKOs, 3-1 in the UFC, and currently on a 3-fight winning streak, which are 2 things I was not aware of with JJ Aldrich. Her winning streak coming against not a favorite of the channel, Polyana Viana, Danielle Taylor, and someone named Shanimi Jian. Don't know who she is, but was in the UFC, so counts. Aldrich, she's fairly an active striker who likes to put pressure on her opponent with pace and with volume, and she needs to have that same type of game plan and execution here against Barber, who's usually the one who likes to put pressure on her opponent. And You know, so I just think that she's gotta beat her to a punch, so to speak, here in order to have a chance. She's got to implement a lot of movement and jab, jab, jab. And I think if she can do that, she can actually surprise Barber here. And but I think Barber may be just a little bit too athletic and relentless with her wrestling. And I will say this is a huge step up for, I won't say huge. I didn't mean to. I'll say this is a large step up for Macy, who's only 20 years old at this point, and it could be a little bit too much too soon. There's no reason to rush her along. She's young and you know, doing really well, so you can really build her appropriately here, and this may be a little bit too much too soon. But I'll say Barber gets a decision nod here, but I don't have a ton of confidence in this pick, to be honest with you. I do see a route to victory for JJ.
Nice. Okay.
So she's tough. JJ is a lot tougher than she looks.
Yep. I feel you. Okay. So Macy Barber comes into this fight 6-0 as a pro. And you made a comment about this being you started out saying it was a massive step up. You know, with that statement, you're bang on. Because this, Macy Barber's 6-0 as a pro. Okay, that doesn't mean 6-0 in the UFC. That means 6-0 in her pro career. She's very young, and she's very inexperienced. But what we do know is exactly what you highlighted. She is a very strong freestyle wrestler. She can, her grappling is very good. It's very strong, and it's relentless. And one thing we do know is she's training with very high level guys and girls. She's got a strong camp. So yeah, inexperienced, and maybe this is, we find out a lot about Macy Barber, but what we do know is she's very strong and her wrestling is insane. What she done to Hannah Cyphers was, I'd like to say quite a few girls could do that to Hannah Cyphers. But that ground and pound, it's the type of ground and pound where I don't expect to see Hannah Cyphers for a year plus. Like, it was that vicious. So yeah, I have a little bit more confidence in Macy Barber than you do. But I completely acknowledge your opinion. Your opinion is not only opinion, it's fact. She is inexperienced and she is very young in the fight game.
And she's getting a lot of hype. She's getting a lot of hype, man. And I'm a little older than you, but like at 20, I don't know how well I would be able to handle that kind of attention. And it is something worth noting. And Aldrich is going to be viewed as everybody as having no chance. And then when the casuals hear her talk and they start to comment and chat it up, they'll be like, "Oh, listen to her. She sounds like look at her. She looks so like."
JJ Aldrich is no Hannah Cyphers. Like, JJ Aldrich she's well rounded, man, and she's gonna look to stand.
She has a good camp too.
Yeah, this is I'm gonna put Barber in the majority of my parlays, but you're spot on. This is
there's just an argument. I also think Barber, and I'll have Barber in a fair amount, but this is not just a slam dunk that I think a lot of people are perceiving it to be.
Well, one thing we most likely definitely agree on is if Macy Barber gets a hold of JJ Aldrich, it's not going to be pretty. So that's what we're hoping for here. But I will take a finish. I'm going to take a round 2 ground and pound. Okay.
Fair enough. So the odds are at -235 for Macy. So not terrible. I mean, I'd say that's about right, honestly, even after everything I've said here. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. I'm glad it's on to 3 to 4. I'm glad it's on to 3 to 4 range. I don't think you can, with this step up and everything, I think that this is right where it should be. Plus 185 for JJ. So I may take a couple shots with JJ in there also, just at that price. But either way, I'm glad that the odds are where they're at for that fight. You want to move us on to the next one?
Yeah, fair play. Okay, so the next one, who have we got? We have Lewis Violent Bob Ross Pena. And my girlfriend's American. She actually told me who Violent Bob Ross is. Before that, I didn't get it. And It's funny. I get it. I get the whole thing with Luis Pena now. It's funny.
He's a violent martial artist.
Yeah. Versus Steven Peterson. And I'll be breaking down Steven Peterson.
Ocho is his nickname.
Ocho. Okay. So, comes into this fight 1-1.
Spanish for
UFC. He has a win over Makdessi, which is, as impressive as you can get there. And a loss to Brandon Davis, which is, basically the same guy, those two. You look at this fight and most people who know both these guys instantly go Luis Pena, which, I kind of did straight away when I first saw this fight. But Luis Pena looks drained at 155 and he's cutting down here apparently to 145. So how, I don't know how he's going to make that weight. Most likely miss his weight, gives up 20%, whatever. But if he makes 146, I'll be amazed because that guy is drained at 55.
Good guy.
So, if he makes, look, 6'3", like, wow. If he makes 146, fair play. But how many times can he do that? He's obviously looking to get in there and get it done quick and try to move through the pecking order at 145. Can Steven Peterson catch a dehydrated Luis Pena? Yes, of course. Anything can happen when they step foot in the octagon. That's my only real concern here is, the weight cut and, like you said before we got onto pod, the last thing to rehydrate is your brain. So if Steven Peterson does catch him in a dehydrated Luis Pena, it could be a shock win. But, when you look at their skill sets, we understand Luis Pena is far more skillful than Steven Peterson. But yeah, I'm going to take Luis Pena. I'm going to take him via submission in the second round. But my real concern is the weight cut. So, I'm not going to bank on Luis Pena for this card. He'll be in maybe 1 or 2 parlays. But I just want to see what he looks like at 145. So, Luis Pena via sub in round number 2.
Yeah, I think it is an absolutely desperate move by Luis Pena. And I think almost overreactionary in a way. But I'll get into that after I break them down here a little bit. But Luis Violent Barbaros Pena, he's 5-1. He's coming off a loss to Mike Trezano, which... wasn't too blown away by, but then Trezano, I believe, won his follow-up fight against, who did he win against? I can't remember.
I think he won on the Ultimate Fighter, the same card as Luis Pena before that fight. I think that's why that fight got made. It's something to do with that.
Yeah, but either way, Trezano's 2-0 when I picked against him both times. But I just found Pena to be really lackadaisical in his UFC debut. And seems like he had a case of UFC jitters. Seems like he froze up in there. He's now decided to cut to 145, and I just don't see how that doesn't completely deplete his body. And I haven't been super blown away by Peterson either, but Peterson's 5'9" and pretty close to 145. I don't think he's cutting a whole bunch of weight. And Peterson's been finished 1 time in his career by TKO. His other 6 losses by decision. So most likely Pena is not going to be able to go in there and just blow the doors off of him and get out of there. So his gas tank's going to be tested. Most likely his chin's going to be tested. I see Peterson pushing Pena up against the fence a lot. I see him making this dirty. And I just really worry about that weight cut and if he's going to be properly prepared and properly be able to recover by fight night. And I'm actually going to take Peterson in this one. And I'm going to take Peterson to get a decision. So I'm going to look for Peterson to really wrestle, not make it dirty, put him against the fence, use a Diego Sanchez type of approach. And not let Pena use his length, make Pena access that gas tank that's going to be significantly depleted by cutting to 145. he looked like he was getting tired at 155. So he has 10 less pounds here. And Peterson, I think, could even get a TKO in this one. But I'll take Peterson to get the upset and get the decision. I assume the upset here and get the decision.
Everything you've said there is legit. That is a completely understandable pick. And I pretty much said the same thing before you done your breakdown there. So, you know, if you're looking at this fight, anyone listening, you know, this isn't a banker fight on Pena. Peterson has a legit chance. It's going to be a legit cut.
And if Pena comes out and finishes him early, I think that would be really important because I don't like Pena's chances at going 15 minutes here at 145. And I look for him after this fight to be back of at 155. I just don't. But we'll see how he looks. Maybe he knows something we don't. But the favorite, minus 305 for Pena.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Minus 205 would have been the limit there. That's insane.
Yeah, plus 235 Peterson. I'll take a stab. A couple times.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll probably put it. You know, I won't put Peterson in any parlays. He'll be just separate for the most part. But I'll tie him onto a couple of my most confident too. But I think those odds only solidify my answer.
Yeah, those are the only odds I've heard so far tonight that are insanely off. Like I said, I believe Luis Pena is more skillful pretty much everywhere in MMA, but that's not how fights go down, man. Like, this is a legit cut, man, and it's not like he was making 155 with ease. He was making 155 with the Conor McGregor skull face. Like,
Peterson doesn't get tired in these fights. If you stop, and he's only been stopped one time in 7 losses. He has a split loss against Benito Lopez on the Dana White's Contender Series. That was a very good fight. You know, he's a scrappy dude. He's got 4 TKOs. He's got 8 submissions. Luis Pena is in his 7th MMA fight ever here. This is going to be Peterson's 25th MMA fight, and with only one TKO finish in those 25 fights. On paper, you look at Luis Pena and Peterson, you go, "Oh, Luis Pena, he's going to be so huge and everything." But then you guys start to compile up the weight cut, the lack of experience, the letdown in his UFC debut, the fact that Peterson doesn't cut a lot of weight. Is like, what distance is this fight fought at? Who isn't, who can implement where the fight's taken?
Confidence, and Peterson, everything.
So we'll see. And if I'm wrong, then sometimes you got to go down with an underdog. But we did finally have
I agree with that disagreement, though. I'm going to side with Pena, but definitely wouldn't be shocked if he lost. Peterson can
there's
win
no
that.
Point in really putting him in a lot of your parlays with that kind of price.
Yeah, he's
You're
going
not
in
getting
one
a whole lot of
max.
value. So he should be it should be at minus 205 at most.
Fair play.
So
okay, so moving on
we'll see.
to this is a legit fight. Hussier Formiga versus Davison Figueiredo.
This is why you don't need to get rid of 125. Fights like this is why these are world-class fighters.
Well, when everyone was speaking about the 125 division going, literally the only thing that I thought was, wow, now Davison Figueiredo isn't going to be a champ. Let me break this guy down for you. This guy is 15-0 as a pro, 4-0 inside the UFC. I've been watching this guy now for 3 or 4 years, and I am fully on the Davison Figueiredo train. He is just so impressive, man. Like, every aspect of MMA he does great. His grappling seems to be great. His striking, his IQ, his movement, everything. This guy, and it's there every fight. The only tough fight he had in the UFC was Jared Brooks, and Jared Brooks is legit. So, every fight in the UFC is tough. But this guy is just so good. He was a pick'em against John Moraga. And, I like John Moraga. And, I'm not biased on this channel. I really do just pick who I think will win. And if, there comes a time
Sometimes I am biased and pick who I want to win. But most of the time I don't.
Yeah, so like Davis and Figueiredo, if there comes a time when he's fighting a guy who I think, this guy's going to beat him, I'm gonna, I put my opinion where my money is. I put my money on my opinion, and I just think Davis and Figueiredo is so legit. Having said that, Hussein Formiga is, a great grappler. So, if Figueiredo gets subbed, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not expecting him to blow the doors off of every single opponent. He's just someone I'm really, really fully behind. And I see this being a masterclass. I just see Davison going in there, landing a lot of calf kicks, combinations, stuffing takedowns, looking for his own takedown if he gets confident throughout the fight. Yeah, I'm massively on Davison Figueiredo here. I'm going to put him in at least 2, if not 3, guaranteed parlays. I wouldn't put him up there with my absolute bankers for the card, but he's like, one step off of being a banker for me on this card. So yeah, I'm going to side with my boy Davison via a dominant masterclass decision.
Okay. I agree with pretty much all of that. I am breaking down Jussier Formiga. He's fighting out of American Top Team, 22-5 overall, 10 submissions, no KOs. He's in there to grapple. 8-4 in the UFC. He has wins over Ben Nguyen, Dustin Ortiz, Wilson Hayes. Losses to Rayborg Cejudo by split decision. And then he got KO'd early by Ben Benavidez and Dodson. And I think that's of note here. I think he has been shown to be, again, another one of these guys who's a little bit of a slow starter. Sometimes he has to get a little bit cracked before he starts to really implement his grappling. And sometimes those early cracks have put him out, like against Benavidez and Dodson. And I put Davison on that kind of level with regards to his striking. And I am equally as impressed with him. And this is after this fight, the real question of how good Figueiredo really is, I think is answered. And I look at, I'm not using MMA math. I'm just looking at the types of guys Formiga's lost to. They have been top guys. If Davidson's able to beat Formiga, he shows he's one of those guys, and I'm pretty sure he is. So I'm going to take Davidson also, and I'm going to take Davidson to get the KO. Nice. I'm going to take it to come in the first round, actually. So a rare first round KO of a flyweight, but I think Davidson's going to be explosive. He's going to be ready for the clinch and the grappling, and I think he's going to be able to catch Formiga before he's able to get started. And I look for an early first round KO by Figueiredo and really making his ascent towards the top of the 125 division. I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up going to a decision. Also, but I think when he hurts Formiga, he's going to look to finish him, and I think he will be successful. So he is one of my bankers as well, or close to it, I would say. Yeah. But I feel fairly confident, even though this I do feel is a close fight. I do see an avenue for Formiga to win. If Formiga ends up winning, I wouldn't be shocked. That's why Figueiredo is not absolutely my number 1 or number 2, but he's up there, and I really am anticipating a very impressive performance and him able to get the finish here. I think that he doesn't use an approach like Pettis used, which allowed Formiga to just ease his back. Yeah, just like I just think there's a certain game plan that Figueiredo is not going to implement that or will implement that Formiga's going to have trouble with. So the odds have Figueiredo at a -165, +135 for Formiga. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just literally thinking about Sergio Pettis, how he got backpacked. Like, how embarrassing. Like, I don't want to make fun of the guy, because he lost to Rob Font. But yeah, he got backpacked by Formiga.
Yeah, the Pettis brothers as a whole are very confused right now. And I think they need to spend a little less time in the barber shop and a little more time in a psychiatrist's office or in the MMA, gym.
That's
Either
funny.
way.
Yeah.
But yeah, both Pettis brothers like moving up and making weird. That was a weird decision. That was a weird decision by Sergio Pettis too.
Yeah, I know.
And this
Money
is weird
talks,
by
man.
Anthony.
Money talks.
But it's gonna be a loss. Like, this is just so strange. I didn't mean to spoil my pick for the main event. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
That maybe I'm picking Pettis. Who knows?
Okay. Moving on. Moving on to Jean Makdessi versus Jesus Pinedo, and I'll be breaking down Jesus. Comes into this fight 16-4 as a pro. His career as a pro started at 16 years old. So he's had quite a few fights. He's still very young. He's 1-0 inside the UFC, beating Devin Powell in his debut. This is quite a step up from his debut. John Makdessi's been brutally knocked out a couple times in his career. Donald Cerrone and who was the other guy? Lando Venata, both with the head kick.
Spinning heel kick by Venata, I believe.
Yeah, it was nasty. Jesus Pinedo has nice kicks, so that's a positive looking at this matchup. Devin didn't give him much space to work with in his debut. So I'll be quite shocked if John doesn't press the action, doesn't look to rip to the body up against the fence, and really give, no space to Pinedo. But oh man, there's one fight on each card where, I'm just looking at it like, can Jesus Pinedo pull this off? Can he kick John Makdessi in the head and remind him why he retired after that Donald Cerrone fight? And I'm gonna take it. It's gonna be in one parlay.
Wow.
But I'm looking for Jesus Pinedo to show John.
You're looking
Makdessi.
for your Mark Diacasey of this card. I get it.
I'm not confident in picking, but I wouldn't be confident in picking John Makdessi either. So
fine.
I'm gonna take Jesus Pinedo to use those kicks. A bit better movement than in his debut. He circled on the outside throughout the whole of his debut, and in his eyes, where he got the win, maybe it was good enough, but it's going to have to be better against John Makdessi. But yeah, I'm going to take Jesus Pinedo, and I'm actually going to take him to get that finish. I'm going to take it in round 3. I'll take Jesus Pinedo via TKO in the 3rd.
Is it going to be a head kick?
Yeah, it's going to be a head kick.
Interesting. Okay. John the Bull Makdessi, training out of Rufus Sport now. He's 16-6 overall, 9 TKOs, 9-6 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak against Ross Pearson and Abel Trujillo. So fair play to John. Those are 2 pretty decent wins, especially Abel Trujillo. That's very impressive.
That's
and I'd say Makdessi's probably the most successful Taekwondo practitioner in the UFC currently, I would say. I can't think of anybody else really. And we know what he wants to do in a fight for the most part is keep it standing. And I think in this fight, he may look to implement some takedowns, actually. It would not surprise me at all. I think technically he's the better stand-up fighter, though. I think that Pineda's a little more wild and maybe puts himself in some positions where he could really be taken down rather easily if the fighter's focusing on that. And I kind of look for Makdessi to mix it up here and focus on his takedowns a little bit more in this fight, perhaps. But I could still see us being a stand-up fight for a good amount of it. And I think that he ends up frustrating Pinedo and TKOing him in the 2nd round, actually. So I'll take Makdessi, mix it up in the 1st round, tire him out a little bit, stand up. Pinedo gets frustrated, starts to put himself more out there with some wild strikes, and gets KO'd by Makdessi. It was a little more precise. So I'll take Makdessi for a 2nd round TKO. I don't feel super confident about it, but I feel decently confident actually about it. So here's one. Oh, you're not going to like this. -310 for Makdessi. Or maybe you really like that. +240.
Yeah, I like that.
It's Pinedo. Yeah,
that reminds me of Nordiv just a few weeks ago. Oh.
The Pinedo's not making his debut here, so people not. And Pinedo's coming off a win. I just think sometimes when you have that level of performance and get to win, it doesn't do you favors because you don't end up making the adjustments you need making going forward if you're not being realistic with yourself. And that's a little bit what I'm betting on here is that Pinedo doesn't make adjustments. And Makdessi does make adjustments fight to fight. He really does. And Makdessi used to fight at TriStar. Now he's fighting out of Rufus Sport. He fights out of some good MMA camps. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he's been working a little bit with Funky Ben leading up to this fight on his grappling and really surprises Jesus, who can't at all be anticipating that coming into this fight. He's got to think he's going to be able to let loose with his strikes and being a little bit of a striking more and be able to head kick him maybe. And I think that Desi, if he's smart, won't just come in and do a firefight, but after tiring him out, maybe able to. So second round TKO, but fair play to you. So that's our second disagreement now. Our two disagreements, interestingly enough, have been our two fights with the largest odds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So just a little fun fact. Well, until we get to the main event. We'll see what the event's at. But, yeah. We'll see if we agree on the main event. So we're on to the co-main event here between Curtis Razorblades and Justin Willis. I'll let you lead it off here.
Okay, so Justin Willis comes into this fight 8-1 as a pro, 4-0 inside the UFC. Wins over James Mulhern, Alan Crowder, Chase Sherman, and Mark Hunt. So, you know, the competition, not the greatest. I believe I've taken him in all four of those fights. The thing I appreciate about Justin Willis is the guy's a heavyweight, but he's a technician. Like, he's not looking to get in there and take your head off like these big 260-pound men most of the time do. You know, he's looking to stand, fight his fight, slow down the pace of the fight, and just be technically much better than you. You know, he slows his heart down to 30 beats per minute before a fight. So the guy is extremely calm and composed when he's fighting the fight he wants to fight. So far, watching Justin's career inside the UFC, it's been pretty legit watching all of his fights. Curtis Blaydes, you know, we know about Curtis Blaydes. He's a great wrestler. He's looking to take you down and wrestle maul you. So yeah, you know, it's you know, Justin Willis is able to stuff takedowns and win a technical boxing fight, or Curtis Blaydes takes down Justin Willis. You know, it's whatever one you're leaning towards. I've only got to assume that Curtis Blaydes knows Justin Willis wants to be, you know, he knows he wants to fight his fight, slow down the pace. So, you know, Curtis is actually going to have to press the action real quick. And, you know, he didn't do that exactly to Ngannou. He waited a few seconds and then shot. The fact he may have to be even quicker in getting in on the shot here is a little worrying, knowing how Francis Ngannou TKO'd him. But yeah, I just don't see Justin Willis having the same power as Francis Ngannou. I know he's most likely, you know, in probably everyone's opinion, he's more technical than Francis Ngannou. But, you know, that man possesses a strange power at short range, and Justin Willis hasn't got that in the locker. So, you know, if Justin Willis is able to keep it standing, I give him so much credit, you know, because I've really enjoyed watching him up to this point, and I'll enjoy watching this fight. But I've got to take Curtis Blaydes. I can only assume that he puts Justin Willis in a fight that's, you know, high pace, and Justin Willis doesn't want to fight that fight. So, yeah, Curtis Blaydes. I believe he takes down Justin Willis, and I'm actually going to take a submission. I believe he takes his back and then takes his neck in round number 2. So I'll take Curtis Blaydes via submission in round 2.
All right. I will be breaking down Curtis Blaydes out of Team Elevation, 10-2. He flew over to China to get knocked out in 40 seconds by Francis Ngannou, which must have sucked. But after, you know, the thing leading into that fight was he was really making his way up to the division. to him being the favorite against Francis in that fight. And prior to that, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, bro.
Yeah, sorry. Prior to that fight, he really was looking good. So I'm just not sure if it was more than an unlucky shot there. So we'll see. But as you said, Willis isn't that level of danger, but he is a technician, so I give him respect.
Mm-hmm.
I think Blaydes can stand with him a little bit too. He had some decent boxing, keeps it tight for the most part. But I look for him to get a decision using his wrestling, and I'll take Curtis Blaydes by decision.
Nice.
Can't pick the finish, but we're back to agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the odds?
Curtis Blaydes minus 285 plus 225 for Willis. I think it could be a little bit closer.
Yeah, that could be closer.
Like minus 205 again. Willis is better than that.
Yeah,
Willis
considering Curtis Blaydes has to shoot and get that takedown. We saw
and
the way he just got
multiple.
TKO'd. That should be closer, really.
Yeah, that's one that I'm still confident in. I just wish it was a little more value. But I'm still confident in picking Blaydes, but I wish there was a little more value there than I was getting. So now we're on to the main event of the evening.
Yes.
Between Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Anthony Pettis. I'll let you go ahead and lead it off, even though I just don't know if there's much of a mystery to who either. So much as I'm trying to make it one.
Yeah.
We'll see, but
okay.
Go ahead and lead us off.
Okay, so Stephen Wonderboy Thompson comes into this fight 9-3 inside the UFC, with one draw, which was the Tyron Woodley fight, the first one.
Yep.
What can we say about Stephen Thompson? He is the highest level kickboxer that we've probably ever seen in the UFC. His karate stance, brilliant. His movement, nothing short of brilliant. His jab is the leg kick, so as soon as you cross that kicking range, he's gonna pop you with a kick. He is like the hardest guy to figure out. Like, I was at his fight in Liverpool against Darren Till, and after the first round, I was expecting more of the same. But Darren Till was such a bully in there, and he was so nasty with that knee stomp. We look at the ways Wonderboy loses, and there's not many of them. You either, one, take him down, which doesn't happen often. Number two, you catch him and hurt him, which Tyron Woodley did and still couldn't finish him on the ground. Or three, you use the Darren Till effect. You have to be much bigger, a bully, and you have to be nasty. Those John Jones knee stomps.
And miss weight.
Yeah, and miss weight.
Sorry, John Jones doesn't do that. That was just Till, to be clear.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, all three of those points, I don't see Anthony Pettis fitting any of them. He's definitely not going to miss weight because he's stepping up.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
That would be hilarious.
Like, what?
In all fairness, Anthony Pettis could catch him with a head kick. Having said that,
sure.
Stephen Thompson could also catch you with his own head kick.
Curtis Blaydes could catch you with a head kick. Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody can catch somebody with a head kick.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm here to talk about the realistic, like the most likely outcomes.
Well, the most likely outcome, in my opinion, would be a sub. How does he get Wonderboy down, though? He's probably going to have to hurt him to get him down. I don't see Anthony Pettis getting a hold of Thompson. Maybe, Pettis gets a little wild now and then and rushes in with some kicks and a combination and finds himself in a clinch up against the fence. But Wonderboy's movement is so good. Like, he is the greatest, man. He is just, I don't want to quote him as the GOAT, but he is so good, man. He's the type of guy that, we just don't see him taken down. Like that, I really believe Wonderboy has a legit shot against Ben Askren. I know you don't agree with me, but Stephen Thompson, man, I'm a massive fan of him. This proves I'm not biased. I put money on Stephen Thompson in Liverpool to beat my hometown guy, you know. So, yeah, I'm taking Wonderboy. I hope you take Wonderboy too, because I'm definitely going to end all of my parlays with Wonderboy and then hedge the profit onto Pettis. And I'm probably just going to choose like a Pettis sub and hope, you know, if Pettis does win it, it comes by sub. But yeah, I've got to take Wonderboy via kickboxing masterclass decision.
Okay. I'll be breaking down Anthony Pettis, 21-8 now. To say Pettis is in a real weird spot in his career would be an understatement. He's had a 3-fight losing streak prior to alternating wins and losses over his last 7, and he's coming off a loss to Tony Ferguson, where he impressed me quite a bit with his toughness, but due to his broken hands, I believe, he was stopped. They stopped the fight between the 2nd and 3rd round. He's now moving up to welterweight, and I gotta wonder why. I think that very well it could have been promised at him a main event slot, but they required him to move up in weight in order to get it. And if that's the reason he's making a decision to take a fight, I think he could be in trouble here against Wonderboy. I think Thompson's range, his movement, I just don't see Pettis. I don't see his avenue to winning here. I think if he could somehow get a hold of him and even pull guard and try to submit him, maybe that's his chance. But I just think that on the feet, I don't see how he's going to be able to touch Wonderboy. I think Wonderboy is going to be able to touch him up quite a bit. And I think that Wonderboy outpoints him for a first 3 and gets the finish in the 4th on an exhausted Pettis.
Nice.
And so, we are going to agree on the main event, which I wanted to pick Pettis, wanted to work some black magic, but it's unfortunately real. So if it happens here, you have no one to blame but yourself for trusting on the main event.
Yeah.
The odds opened at -1,000 for Stephen Thompson. They are now at -4. They're now at -450, plus 325 for Pettis. So it opened at -1,000 plus 600.
Well, you know, the best thing about that is, you know, anyone who saw the start of this breakdown where I explained hedging the profit, we can all end our parlays with Thompson, regardless of regardless of who you think is going to win.
If there's 1 or 2 people out there who believe Pettis is going to win, props to you.
But you could just pick Thompson, and when your parlays are about to come in, just hedge the money over and you win no matter what. If you end all your parlays with Pettis, how are you gonna hedge that money over? And you know, I don't pick like that. Like, oh, we have to make sure we pick the favorite on the main event. Like I've made loads of main event underdog picks. You know, even Aleski. What's that guy's name? The Russian guy, the heavyweight, who gets the Ezekiel choke.
Oleinik.
Alexei Oleinik, that guy. Yeah. Like, you know, so anyone who thinks Pettis is going to win, fair play. But end them with Wonderboy and just hedge your profit.
Yep, I agree. It's nice when the UFC does us this favor and makes it such a wide main event and even co-main event. You can even hedge with in a couple spots there, with the main event being, you know, heavy too. So.
And your fight of the night for the whole card.
My fight of the night. Let's see. My fight of the night will be. So my dark horse fight of the night is going to be Gutierrez versus MacDonald.
Okay.
And in fact, my fight of the night will be Formiga versus Figueiredo, unless Figueiredo gets a performance of the night by getting a quick knockout. And then my fight of the night will be Luis Pena versus Steven Peterson. Nice. I'm going to say that's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, my fight of the night would be Formiga and Figueiredo. If not, I'm probably leaning towards Marlon Vera and Frankie Saenz. I reckon that's going to be a decent scrap.
Obviously, every card there can be a lot of fights that are fight of the night, but Bryce Mitchell versus Bobby Moffett could be wild for how long that lasts. If Aldrich can challenge Barber and stuff a few takedowns early and frustrate her, that could get wild.
Yeah,
Makdessi and Pinedo. You look at this on paper at first glance, you're like, oh, this is one of the worst cards of the year so far. But each one of these fights has a lot of entertainment value. Even the Thompson Pettis fight, that's going to be fun while it lasts.
And the value where you can hedge, it's beautiful.
Yeah, great card actually. And
what card have we got after this?
Next card is the Barboza Gaethje card from Philly, which I will be at live.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm going to try to get to that.
Yeah.
So we've got more UFC. Week, so. This was a fun breakdown. 2 disagreements, which is pretty legit. Yeah, enjoy the fights. I've enjoyed breaking this card down with you, Brooks, and peace to everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for the listens, for the comments, the likes, everything like that. And we will be back next week for the Gaethje and Barboza fight. But enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys throughout Fight Week. Thanks a lot.
Peace.